So today's video is about Retrieval Augmented Generation or RAG. RAG has been very popular lately and people are implementing RAG in their own NLP studies or in their own chatbots or also in their own task where they really want to leverage the power of large language model. So what is RAG about and why people really need RAG? So RAG comes into play when you want to make your large language model relevant so that it gives much more relevant responses to your queries. You want to make your large language model up to date with the latest happenings, or you want to make the large language model being aware of your external databases or your knowledge bases. And also to overcome hallucination, increase the response quality, all this thing, RAG being super powerful for that. And of course, that's one of the reasons why it's such a trending topic and mostly all of the enterprises, they would love to have RAG in their products. But this whole RAG idea, this whole retrieval augmented generation idea is not today's idea. It has been existing for the past 2-3 years. So if you go to this paper of retrieval augmented generation for knowledge and performing intensive natural language processing tasks, this paper was published in 2022 May, and it has been published by, I think, from few of the authors or the researchers from Meta AI. A big shout out to them for this amazing paper. So this core concept comes from there. It's already been there. Let's look into this idea of RAG in a very simplified form. So one part is generation, which is the easiest part, I would say, to understand at least, because we are using ChatGPT, right? And we pass a query and the large language model, it generates responses. That's the generation part. So a query is there, it passes by the large language model. I'm not going through what is happening under the hood. It will create a response. Now in RAG, we call as retrieval. So retrieval means we're retrieving some kind of context or some kind of like passage or some kind of similarity sentences from somewhere. So this retrieval can be from your external database, from your index data. By that I mean when you embed or your pages of PDF or you embed a whole chunk of TXT file, all these things getting indexed in vector stores. So basically retrieve from vector databases. That's kind of a common practice because vector databases are pretty powerful in natural language processing. So vector database such as Pinecone or Webit, super powerful for that. So we're indexing our data to vector database and from there we're retrieving. So this is where retrieval comes. And what we retrieve, here we use this another layer, what we call as similarity searches. So we're retrieving the few similar queries have relevant to the user, our end user's query. We are retrieving those part, those section of it. So that's where the similarity search is retrieved from the vector databases. So that's the second part, right? We know response or the generation of responses. We now know what is retrieval in a very like broader sense I'm speaking about. And the next part is augmentation. What does augmentation means? It means enriching something, augment something. So what are we augmenting here? We're augmenting the user query which we are sending to the our large language model. So basically, whatever prompt we are passing to large language model all this time, and how we are augmenting. So what we are augmenting? The prompt. How we are augmenting? We are augmenting by passing few extra sentences or keywords. So if we focus on this part, we will see we're augmenting mostly. We're augmenting with the similarity search, which you already found by retrieving. We're augmenting with system prompt. We are augmenting a context which you would like, or extra prompt which we as end user would like to implement. All this thing we're adding into our prompt now. We are no more having a single line prompt. We are passing the prompt with the extra context, extra system prompt. And now this prompt, this powerful prompt which we generate via retrieval and gets augmented is now passed via the large language model. And now the response which comes via this will be much more powerful, will be much more relevant to our end user's query because the end user already passes a very relevant prompt. The response won't hallucinate. It is giving a much better response to the query. That's why RAG now becomes very powerful for any chatbots or any production level chatbots which you want to create or develop. This is a RAG overview. RAG can be much more complicated. There have been a lot of ways, langchain or llama index, they're handling it very nice, these two frameworks. I have a lot of videos out there also with langchain. I'm also trying to make videos with llama index. So those two particular frameworks are really harnessing the power of RAG. Maybe we could also look into them in future videos, but I think it's key to understand these two core concepts or three core concepts of responses, the retrieval part, and also the augmentation part. So that's why today's video is more about the code bases or the few lines of code which we need for these two main aspects. And we will see the chatbot in action. And I also guide you to the GitHub link. Also this blog which I written a few days back. And I think if you just go through it, I hope it will be much more clear, the whole perspective of RAG. Let's do that. So as we discuss, our RAG needs a knowledge base, right? So in our case, our knowledge base are nothing but PDF file, our external knowledge base. So you can see there is a browse folder will allow us to upload PDF files. The st.file uploader, if I just go here, st.file uploader, it accepts multiple files. So after uploading file, if there are PDF file, it goes through all the PDF file. That's why I use this for loop, and it creates a vector DB. As I mentioned before, our RAG needs to have a vector database. That's super important, right? From where the retrieval happens. For having this vector database, we need to store or index them. So this is the function which index it, and it also create the vector database. But as you see out here, get index for PDF file, that is done by another function. So that's where I'll take you guys here now first. So this is the brain of the app, as I call it. So in this particular GitHub repository, you'll find the entire code base also. This is this brain.py. You will mainly find the way to parse this PDF file. To parse the entire PDF file, convert the text to documentation. This whole thing is done by langchain's this recursive character text splitter. Then it also uses the text splitter further, and it creates a documentation. Then it converts the docs to index. This is very crucial because here we use something called as fast CPU, which you will see in the requirements.text that fast CPU or the tick token is used. This is very important to index any file, which we have done before as well. And then we get the index of the file finally. And once we index, we create the vector database. So I'll just come to our app again. Here we say we create the vector database. That's the whole plan. And that's why when there is a PDF file there, we create the vector database. Super. So let me just upload a PDF file already. You can see if it works or not. So if I browse and upload a single file now, langchain Wikipedia PDF, just we try with this. This part is about prompt augmentation. By that, what we mean, we will have a prompt template. We will have lot of context from the retrieval. So this vector database will be retrieved, search for similarity searches, and then it will be augmented. The prompt will be augmented there, right? So we need to lay the foundation for that. So we have a prompt template like this for a helpful assistant who answers to users' question based on multiple contexts given to you. Keep your answer short and to the point. The evidence are the context of the PDF extracted the metadata because we are passing the PDF file and the PDF file name. So those are the metadata which we pass to it. Carefully focus on the metadata, especially the file name and page whenever answering. Make sure to add file name and page number when you're citing it. So this is how I wrote the prompt. So that's a part of the prompt augmentation I'm already laying the foundation for. It's still not over. We'll come to that as well. And then there are a few things about Streamlit, chat elements, which I discuss in my other videos as well. I won't go that much, but it's all about appending and creating a chatbot style format, a chat UI. That's why I'm using this for loop to dump every time, and session state is to store each and every prompt and answer. Prompt and answer. That's how it is stored every time, so that it gives a chat-like elements. Okay, so there is a place where you can ask question using the chat input. This particular code block allow this place. You see, ask anything. If I just change that, ask me about the PDF, you'll see it should change. Ask me about the PDF, right? That's the part. Now, if there is a question, we see if our vector database is already created or not. That's why we are storing it in session state. That's why we don't need to every time create a vector database, because embedding, indexing, it requires money, because that's how the embedding model works. We don't want to vectorize every time. That's why it's important that we store it over one session, or we store over a vector database. Right now, we're not using a vector database. We're just storing over a session so that we don't index every time. That's the whole part of this part. If there is not a vector database, we just stop it. Cool? But the important part is here. The part where we'll perform the similarity search, it is here. You see? Now, else what I will do is I will comment the rest of the part. Just run this, we run this whole part. I am doing this whole stuff in Data Button. I have a couple of other videos as well, which uses the Streamlit UI, and it actually helps to build everything on the top of it. And they are very much separation of libraries, jobs, storage. You can actually install any libraries like this out here. You see how I install the whole libraries. So we'll just search. So now we have already, let's say we upload langchain Wikipedia, it just got indexed, and now I ask what is langchain. Usually what it gives us are the relevancy of it, the similarity search based on it. So it took few context of it from this document langchain, this is this, and it gives us the relevance of it. Okay. Again, another context of it. So these are the two relevant ones it found out from here. So what we are doing, we are searching for the relevancy out. We are getting the search results here. So what was the idea out here? So we get the relevancy, we augment the prompt. Now, once we get this part, we concatenate the whole stuff here. That's why I wrote in this blog. Once we get the similarity search, we concatenate them, send as a context to the prompt, or we augment the prompt. We update our prompt out here, the prompt template, or we augment the prompt here with this extract, the PDF extract, which we just got here from here, plus the prompt template, which is nothing but this part. So what we are doing in reality, we are performing this part of our RAG. We're augmenting the prompt, the key part of it, with all the relevant from the document plus the prompt template. Once we do it, it's much more straightforward. So we have more or less out here right now where augmentation of the prompt takes place, you see. And now the next part comes is passing this prompt to our large language model or to our pre-trained model, right? That's where we'll use OpenAI. So the next part is about adding user question, create a placeholder for our message. And this is the part where we'll stream and finally add it to a session state. Then we're what you're doing using the chat completion dot create method. This method is using the model GPT 3.5 turbo, and we pass the message as the prompt which we defined out here. Architecture, we pass the prompt via GPT 3.5 is done in this few lines of code here. You see? And what we expect the streaming of response, because we keep it as a true, and it will stream the response out here. And whatever response comes here, the result, we give it back to our session state to make a chat-like user interface. Very straightforward. Let's try to implement that. So now I will ask who is the founder of langchain. We see what's happening under the hood. So first, it looks for the relevancy, as you can see, looks for all the relevancy out here. As we said out here, it searches from the vector DB. It won't create vector DB every time because it creates one because we're using session state. Once the vector DB is there, it will retrieve all the similarity search. This is the similarity search in a documentation list of documents. It augments the prompt. It augments this part of the prompt template, what we give it, this prompt with the whole context, and finally it gives the very correct answer, a very relevant answer. Let's try with another tougher question, maybe. I don't know if it's tough enough or not. Or how much was the langchain raise or something. Let's see, because I think Wikipedia has that particular context. So let's see if it can give us an answer. You see, langchain was funded with 20 millions of funding from Sequoia Capital. And from where it got those, this is the part from where it got those relevancy out of here. So you see, it always try to extract the relevancy from the vector database. It starts with a similarity search where we use this amazing way of fast CPU. We use fast CPU to get the similarity search. And finally, those similarity search is passed to our particular prompt, we are augmenting the prompt, and then using a model like GPT 3.5, we are kind of generating our response. The generation stays same like we do in ChatGPT. What it has enhanced? It has enhanced the relevancy of our dependent or our external dependencies, such as the external knowledge base. It has enhanced the prompt. It has augmented the prompt with those content, and as a result, the whole response which is generated from here is much more reliable. And that's why RAG is very powerful for your next AI product or your next enterprise product. RAG is a must. Maybe you have used in different ways, but maybe these terminologies were different. But this retrieval and augmentation part, that's something which I wanted to highlight, and final generation part, which we see always. So I hope you guys like this video, and this GitHub code will be out there. This particular RAG chatbot will be in the description, as well as this whole blog post where I covered each and every part and compared with a simple chatbot, by the way. That's super useful to understand why a simple chatbot won't work and why a RAG enhanced chatbot is more powerful. And also, I wrote the tweet or how I started to build this whole app. Everything is in this blog post. It's much more elaborative way, okay? And also references to them is given in this blog post. So please check them out. Let me know what you guys think about it. And if you guys like it, please like and share this video. Leave the comment, and I will be covering more videos about it. Cheers.